Welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new r/malicious compliance stories, shall we? The first story is called You Want to Micromanage? I was a janitor at an enormous church in an American suburb. The campus was large enough to have a dozen bathrooms, several acres of carpet and miles of hallways across 3 to 4 floors. It was typical on weekdays when there weren't thousands of people there to attend a church service to only give the bathrooms a light clean. This means check the mirrors for spots, flush the toilets, restock the paper towels and tissue and pull the dirty paper towels out of the trash. With gloves, without changing the bag. A teammate, Alex, had just been promoted to shift manager. He was apparently looking to flex his newfound power. I got a radio call. He said, "Come in." I said, "Go ahead." Alex asked, "What's your 20? This means location." "I just finished the 390 restrooms. Can you meet me at the 219s? It's clear on the other side of the building, so I hustle over there." "You didn't change this trash bag. There's gum in it." I was dumbfounded. You couldn't just change the bag and tell me later? You have the key. Do it right and this won't be a problem. Next one, I'll write you up. If Alex would have been a welcome teammate before this, I would have let it go. But he was a sexist jerk to his girlfriend, also a janitor, and he was equally micromanagey to other people on the shift. So we all hatched a plan. Throughout the shift, we would listen to radio calls to figure where he was. When we finished our job on the other end of the campus, we'd radio him to come to see something. "Okay, I'm here. What's up?" Before we move on to the next bathroom, we wanted to make sure the mirror is clean enough. "How is it?" "You had me hike across campus for that?" "It's fine." "Well, I don't want to be written up, so I want to make sure the work is up to your standard of quality." Another janitor over the radio. "Alex, can you meet me in this other ring? We have an important question for you." Back and forth, back and forth. We all just really needed his expert advice to avoid disciplinary action. Alex got the point but was too afraid of conflict to directly name the insubordination. He just stopped micromanaging after one 4-hour shift. Just 4 hours to reteach a manager to stop micromanaging. That is great teamwork. The next story is called You Want Stone? I work as a translator/interpreter for a foreign construction company in my country, translating between my foreign management and local suppliers. My culture and my management's culture are very different in terms of work ethics. This is a never-ending source of anger and anguish for my employers. That's why, although my job is to convey what they say, I often act as an intermediary when dealing with local companies. Just before Christmas, our main architect insisted on scheduling a meeting with a new mason supplier. I tried letting them know that maybe rescheduling for 2021 would be a good idea. My country is pretty big on Christmas celebrations, and we all know that between December the 20th and January the 10th nothing will be done. Everyone is going on holidays, and especially now with everything already slowing down, Christmas time was sure to be a standstill. However, as I said, the architect was adamant and the meeting was scheduled. The mason supplier's representatives came and we spent close to 3 hours arguing sizes of slabs. We were informed that the dimensions that our architects were demanding are not easy to obtain. And they would be rather costly because of enormous losses and raw materials. This, in my home country, is a clear message. You need to change your design or find another supplier because we can't meet your demands. This is not a message that can be easily explained to my management, thus the 3-hour-long meeting. And yes, one could think that we could go and try to find another mason supplier that could do it. But unfortunately, this one supplier is the sole owner of a stone quarry with a particular stone that our investors fell in love with. So, after a long and exhausting fight, our architects capitulated to the idea of changing the design. And when we thought that all was well, our main architect said that our company needs samples as soon as possible. When the supplier explained that as soon as possible means as soon as possible after January the 10th, once more all hell was set loose. My management is still not used to not getting their way. In their culture, suppliers will do anything and everything that is demanded of them. And every no they hear, they take it personally and think it's just an excuse and that the supplier is simply lazy. So they weren't open to understanding after being forced to change the project just a moment earlier. It was another exhausting hour of explanations and demands, where the local supplier informed us that samples that we want need to be cut manually, and that it is more work than one might think. And with Christmas time upon us, they simply don't have enough hands on board to cut the slabs they already have. But they are happy to direct us to places where the stone was used so we can see how it looks in reality. That idea wasn't accepted, and it was said that we should be able to see how their product really looks without going anywhere. Finally, the meeting ended with, "Fine, I don't care how you do it, but I need stone and I need it quick." The resigned supplier conceded, and the meeting was finished on a sour note. But at least my management was somewhat satisfied, until last week. Our main architect called me and panicked that someone called them and it was probably a delivery driver. I called the number I was given, and sure enough, it was a delivery driver. I went downstairs. Our office is on the first floor, no elevator, and the driver looked at me. He smiled a little and said, "Oh, so I guess the package won't be delivered right to your hands?" Now, when I mentioned earlier that we wanted samples, I meant little blocks of material, no more than 2 by 5 inches. So when I was pointed to the package, I was surprised to say the least. We were sent full-size industrial slabs of stone of all the types we wanted to see. You know, giant pieces of stone that are usually used on elevations of fancy buildings. Massive things, but of course neatly packed and secured, standing in front of our office building. I can't say my management was furious, they were aghast. The only way to move the package as a whole is a forklift. But our entrance doors are not wide enough for a forklift to go through. And then there are stairs to tackle, which is a whole different story. A package like this is secured in a pallet-like wood structure. It needs to be broken, so individual slabs can be taken out. But we don't have the equipment to pack it again if we were to open it. We can't open it, we can't bring it inside, and now we have a new fixture at the entrance. It's been a week since we got it, and for now it's being used as a bench by smoking coworkers. I don't know if there will be a fallout, but as I mentioned earlier, we can't really drop the supplier. My management is quite silent about the whole issue. But one thing is clear, they will not be asking for samples again. They already asked me to find buildings that our supplier mentioned during our December meeting. And I know that my management expects me to be as aghast and annoyed as they are. But the idea of someone in our supplier's company going, "They want stone? Oh, I will give them stone," brings me so much unadulterated joy that my mood brightens up whenever I see our stone fixture outside. What do you think? Which countries is this story about? The last story is called "New Manager Brings New Problems." In college, I worked for a computer parts store in their build your own section. Let's call this place Macropoint. I was a good seller and made a ton of money, something like 2,400 a check. I was very happy and feeling myself. I even bought a shirt that said DJ Breadwinner and would wear it under my nice clothes all the time. The job was easy if you follow 2 simple rules. First, never sell them something that they don't need. And second, the customer only has the options that you give them. The latter seems a bit disingenuous, but if you follow number 1, you'll never go wrong with the second. My 2 biggest abilities were that I helped everyone and was very polite and energetic, so I got a lot of repeat customers who would wait and deal only with me. And I could sell warranties like nobody's business. The warranties were easy to sell. We had an accidental damage plan on most items and one that replaced components in a build if you paid us to build it. I would simply say something like, "You want to buy the accidental damage plan. It may be expensive, but it lasts 3 years. Put the date in your phone, on your calendar. A week before it's up, throw this thing at a wall and then come get the latest model for free." The plan says they might ask a few questions. But the truth is they didn't, with accidental damage. Just bring in a broken item, it gets the same, or if that's not available, get the latest price equivalent model. Most people took that bet, and I was successful. Things were great, until we got a new manager for our department. We'll call him Incompetent. He was, as his name implies, incompetent. He had come over from Circuit Metropolis and had been a store manager or something. Their business had just folded. He brought all kinds of new and stupid ideas to the department. The worst was switching how we did cleaning and stocking. Before, we cleaned at night and stocked periodically in the early morning when it was slow when the truck came. He wanted us to clean in the morning, so we were on the floor for the early morning customers and stock at night. Anything that wasn't fully stocked in our department through the day went up when we merchandised at night and cleaned. I think he was trying to stop us from getting overtime or something. This was stupid, cause we made like $5 an hour plus commissions. Our hourly wage was nothing. The biggest problem here is that the things of the truck are in the system. So when a customer wants something, the system says we have it and it's not on the shelf. We have to waste time not being on the floor, going to look for things on the pallets, and that hurts our sales. This is a completely stupid idea that failed spectacularly. And I earned the ire of Incomposito by going to the store manager after our objections were ignored and explaining it. I may have earned his undying ire when he told the store manager that that was the way they did it back at Circuit Metropolis. I remarked that that was probably why they went out of business. In my defense, screw this guy, he was costing me like $500 a check. Eventually this got fixed, but a new issue started and this one was really annoying. Now we were not allowed to sell in other departments unless they were connected to or upsells in our builds. This included things like TVs, Apple, games and the general section in the middle of the store. I and others had mastered upselling TVs instead of monitors and gaming peripherals and all that. We got a higher percentage of peripherals than core sales. So making a TV a peripheral was big money. Incomposito, who was trying to buddy up to that hot chick who ran that department, had forbidden us to upsell TVs or hand that off as a separate thing for the TV people. This did not go over well in our department. As a lead salesman in my department, I was particularly mad. But he threatened write-ups for anyone who disobeyed. And the store manager was tired of us going around Incomposito, so he just started saying it's his department. He eventually forbade us from upselling anywhere else in the store. I'm like, cool, betcha. Cue the malicious compliance. You see, even if it's from other departments, if the sale starts in our department, the numbers are attributed to our department. This here affects Incomposito's bonus. But also, the only reason more TVs were being sold in the first place was that we were convincing gamers to get big TVs and use them as monitors instead of monitors. So when we stopped doing that, units stopped going out with the same frequency. The numbers for our department dropped sharply. It was actually rough to get all the salespeople to just stick to our department and not go around Incomposito. But it only took about 2 months for anyone to start noticing the problem. They called a meeting of the departments and talked about TV and build your own underperforming. When they asked why, I feigned ignorance. I just said we were following what Incomposito said. We let the store manager slowly piece together why things were happening. Incomposito got chewed out, and the TV lady, let's call her Lex for days, was also chewed out. We didn't know why at first, but apparently she had done this to the manager before the manager that hired me. The one before Incomposito was a woman, but her predecessor was a man. Apparently, Lex for days had a way of flirting and getting special treatment for her department. And she was taking advantage of idiots like Incomposito. I would like to say that was the end and Incomposito eased up and got out of the way. But no, he was petty and a jerk. He conspired with Snake, someone of his own culture, to get rid of me. I found this out because Snake was popular with the girls, but also talked too much. The manager would allow Snake to upsell in our area and had one of the girls often remove my sticker and put Snake's on it. The manager started scheduling me at weird times. And he started selling the store manager on the idea that I was detrimental to the morale of the department. A lot of them were lazy and relied on the pool. When you don't help someone and they still buy something, the money goes into the pool and is distributed amongst the entire department. If it doesn't look like a big build, some folks would just let that go to the pool. I did not. I helped everyone and turned small items into big purchases. Admittedly, that hurt everyone else's pockets. But we are told to help everyone and to absolutely not be lazy and let things go to the pool. So the weird way it ended up being explained to me is that if I sold 10 of an item, I got paid, let's say, $100 because of a multiplier or whatever. But if I sold 5 and someone else sold 5, no one would get the multiplier. And thus they would pay each $40 or something, instead of paying $100 for the same amount of merch being sold. It was all convoluted and sounded like a bad excuse. But Incomposito ended up convincing them that they couldn't afford me right then. Normally they fire people on the spot, cause we've got a high risk of theft, but they let me work those last 2 weeks. I asked him what he expected me to do, and he told me, I expect you to sell. So sell I did, cue malicious compliance too. I was going to show them what they were losing. I wanted them to feel my absence. I was determined to try to break the sales record my last few days, and totally came close. I was averaging something like 7,800 in sales, way up from my 3,000 a day, which still had me around the best of the best. The record was somewhere around 14,000 in a day, and I had 11,000 and 13,000, but sadly could not hit the record. But my numbers were insane during that time. My last check was stupidly high. But alas, Incompetito did manage to get me out of there, though the store manager said he would hire me back if things changed. But instead, Incompetito waited a month and moved Snake into my place in the department. Needless to say, their numbers were not the same. I didn't get my closure on this until about 4 months later. I found out that Incompetito and the store manager had been fired. They opened a Bengal Direct across the way, and Macropoint had been losing clients and money. And apparently, my department hadn't really recovered from my loss. Things came to a head at a quarterly meeting, when the regional manager came to present the top sales awards. Apparently, I had won it, even though I was missing 2 months or so of sales. No one had told him that I had been fired, so he looked like an idiot trying to present the award. There was a banner and everything. I also found out that Snake got fired for 2 separate offenses. One was stealing, which they were investigating. The other was passionately hugging with one of the cashiers in the back. This led to his immediate termination. It had come out that Incompetito had caught Snake before, doing something inappropriate, and just gave him a rake write-up. That, the debacle with me and the low sales got Incompetito fired. I received a call to see if I wanted to come back, but I had already taken on extra classes by then. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.